Hello everyone! Season 12 of Diablo 4 is already ending. A global update awaits us on April 28th. That means it is not just one season ending and another starting. It will begin with a new character, the Warlock, new activities, and other content. Let's briefly go over what happens to old gear, characters, where your progress goes, experience, and items obtained through hard work. What will happen to the eternal bugs that have lived in the game for years? Will the expansion fix them? How do the developers actually listen to the community, not just in PR speeches? Briefly and to the point in a question and answer format, let's go. Oh yes, I am new off, and I would appreciate a like and a subscribe. Now for real, let's go. How do you know that a season is ending? When is the end of the season, and when will the next season start? In general, you can look at the timer in the reliquary, plus or minus a couple of days the date is accurate. Usually it's plus. That means you should add 1 or 2 days to the reliquary timer. Where does everything I farmed so hard go? What happens to the loot? Everything transfers from the season to the eternal realm along with your character. But there is a catch. After a rework of items or the crafting system, the following happens. The first time Blizzard did a rework about a year ago, items became weaker because their item power was forcibly reduced from 800 to 540. That means after a rework, your items from previous seasons turn into a pumpkin. The second time, a couple of seasons ago, after the tempering system rework, items remained, but they cannot be changed at the occultist or blacksmith. That is to say, these items are only available to you as starter gear when playing in the Eternal Realm. I'll talk about the Eternal Realm a little later. On April 28, 2026, the expansion will be released and items will be destroyed once again. That means we will have items with a maximum item power of 900. For how long, I personally don't know. Once upon a time in Diablo 4, there were items with power 925, but they've been gone for a long time and now they're going for round 2. Furthermore, those who played Diablo 3 know that items there have 2 secondary affixes that give small buffs. I think they will bring those into Diablo 4 as well, like everything else, over time. Doesn't any of this remind you of something? I mean, could this be a beta? Can anyone clearly explain why, in a game released 3 years ago, items have been reset 3 times already, mechanics changed, and this isn't the last time? Know why? Because the Lord of Hatred DLC managed to sell well, and within a week after the pre-order started, Blizzard was blown away by how well things were going, and rumors spread that another DLC would be released in a year or a year and a half. Pre-order means selling the expansion at double the price, in case you didn't know or didn't realize. For the next DLC, the idea is obvious: offline trading, as it is currently done in Path of Exile 2. Additionally, reworking items may require the introduction of 3 additional aspects in Kanai's cube, following the model of Diablo 3. This will 100% happen, either as an expansion or as a seasonal theme that will later be made permanent. I am not against expansions. I fully support them, but I don't want to play seasons anymore. I want to play in the Eternal Realm and gear up several characters in perfect builds and push the tower for high ranks on the ladder. But I can't do that now because the developers will turn my gear into a pumpkin. Furthermore, there is no ladder in the Eternal Realm. Paragon 300 won't give a sense of progression, and the materials that drop on the ground when salvaging items complete the picture. More about the bugs that have lived for years a little later. By the way, a small lyrical digression. Sometimes when reading comments, it is surprising at how little people understand how things work. Diablo 4 was not made to do something new, but to make money. And it was designed in advance with the aim of transferring everything developed from Diablo 3 into it. In the exact same way, the Path of Exile 2 developers made it so they wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel, but simply gradually transfer all the successful solutions from the first game into it. This is business, and the task here is to invest a minimum and get a maximum. Do you remember the first gameplay trailer for Diablo 4? There, the hero dismounts and attacks from the horse. Do you often attack while dismounting? Yes, of course, constantly, because it's the most popular combat mechanic in the game. Also, in that trailer, there is the hero climbing up and down. This was shown to us in the promo as game features. Horse attack is useless, climbing up and down, an annoying hindrance after a few days of play. There was nothing else in the trailer except showing a few combat skills of different characters. That is to say, the game doesn't intend anything new, only the well-proven old stuff. And you already know everything about franchises like Battlefield. So whether you like it or not, all products sold as series are 10% actual updates and 90% marketing, so live with that now. Let's move on to the most important thing, what everyone is worried about. I have so much cool gear, mythics, runes, and gold. I invested so much into my character. What will I get in the new season? Get ready, but the answer will disappoint you. Nothing. You don't transfer anything to the new season. Materials for summoning bosses, equipment, gold and gems, runes, experience and level, everything stays with your character in the Eternal Realm. Everything you earned while playing in the season will remain after it ends in the Eternal Realm. The only things that will transfer with you are cosmetic items and the clan, the transfer mechanic to the Eternal Realm. Let's see how this works in practice. When the season ends, your seasonal characters move to the so-called Eternal Realm, where all your old heroes from past seasons are located. For example, you might end up with a Paragon level 300 character in the Eternal Realm, even though you didn't actually level that much during the season. This happens because the experience is taken from the maximum level of any character from all past seasons. After the season ends, you log in with any of these Eternal characters. A withdraw-only tab appears in your stash. In it lies everything you earned during the past season, all items, runes, gems, and so on. Attention, in this tab you can only take items out, but you cannot put anything back. Gold earned in the season is automatically added to what was in the Eternal Realm. Let me remind you, the gold cap is 100 billion. The same happens with resources. They are added to what you already had. Anything that exceeds the limits disappears. If you plan to play with Eternal characters, you need to log into the game during the following season and clear out this tab. Move everything to the main stash or the inventory of other characters. If you don't do this during the next season, then when the season after that starts, this temporary tab will disappear, and with it, all your items will disappear. But they will be reset in the upcoming Season 13 anyway. But valuable runes and resources like sparks will remain. Why play seasons at all? After this, many will ask, so what's the point? Why start over every 3 months if everything burns down afterward? To be honest, I have no idea. It's marketing again. The key to game companies' revenue is the replayability of their games. And how do you achieve that? The most obvious and simplest way is seasons, where some hyped up mechanics await you. To be honest, for the majority of players who play a couple of weeks per season, this is fine and even interesting. People are genuinely interested in seasonal powers and temporary mechanics. This is normal. Players have fun, developers test ideas, and in the future, they might bring some seasonal mechanics into the game on a permanent basis. Great, everyone is happy, even me, but Mom also taught you not to pay attention to what comes before the word but. Of course she did. So what comes after the but? Is that everything is wonderful exactly up to the point where the developers show complete disregard for those who want to play with multiple characters on a permanent basis, without this dubious role of a mechanic tester, which all developers have so skillfully imposed on their users. This is great, right? You test new mechanics for us so we can improve the game, which you then buy. And for these tests for us, you also pay by buying battle passes and cosmetics. It works out great. We invest money not in real development, but in collaborations. And we sell you, for example, a Doom costume for the price of the game itself. What's the main thing here? To draw a big discount. And it works. And since everything really works out great for the developers, it will continue like this. I started talking about the magic of seasons, so what is it? In my opinion, there is no magic. It's just been ingrained that starting from scratch is cool. Seasons have been shouted about everywhere for many years, and it has become the norm. In Diablo 3, everything is made for Eternal Realm players, experience gains, resources don't drop on the ground. But in Diablo 4, it's either seasons or nothing, and if we remember what I said a little earlier about 3 reworks in 3 years, then it all adds up. This isn't a game, this is a beta of a game. Oh yes, some also believe that by starting from scratch in seasons, they will have the opportunity to climb high on the ladder. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but without community support or injecting real money, you won't. Next, I will tell you about several bugs that have lived in the game for years and no one cares about them. At the end, I'll mention a couple of fresh ones, just as a reminder whether they fix them or not, really. It's one thing to keep them in your head, another to show you, and then after the expansion, come back and see if anything has changed or not. Let me remind you, it's not about what broke yesterday, but about what has been broken for years. First, you're in a Helltide, activating altars to summon a boss. You activated them, got 3 offerings. This means that after killing the boss, you will receive a greatly increased reward. Not 2 boss summoning materials, but 20. But a random Whisper Tree favor is completed, and you urgently need to go to town. Otherwise, the favor from the boss won't count, and you'll have to do it again. You jump to town, pick up the cash, and fly back. Time-wise, it's not a problem to make it. You return, seemingly nothing has changed. Yes, everything is the same except that your bonus contributions are gone and you won't receive the reward. This is how it's been happening for the past year, maybe 2, or maybe it was always like this. Let's make bets. Will they fix it or not? Second, this is tempering at the blacksmith. The tempers are arranged in a chaotic order and using them is extremely difficult. You might think it became like this after the rework, but no, it has always been this way. The solution is simple and obvious. Remove all these categories that nobody needs and add a search field. That's it. But this is very difficult. Or rather, it's even simpler. Blizzard has never known how to make interfaces. Turbo HUD didn't appear in Diablo 3 out of nowhere, but because of a catastrophically bad interface. There will be one in Diablo 4 too. It definitely will. Third question to the developers, applying potions to everyone around. I'm not against this. I'm against the fact that it's done forcibly. Give some option whether to receive potion buffs from other players or not, because you go into a high-level pit and you have a buff on you that's not what you need, but some random bonus. And this random bonus might not just make you weaker, it might just kill you. For example, a bonus to HP makes a player non-viable when playing a barbarian with Salix Amulet. But this third point no one will ever change. Why? Because they don't care. There are a couple more things that clearly demonstrate the lack of interest from Blizzard towards these, what do you call them? Oh, the players. As soon as Belial appeared, everyone immediately asked the developers to make the stash remember the player's last choice and immediately open the previously selected boss without extra clicks. What do you think happened? That's right, nothing. Developers continue to show how much they care about community feedback, in words only. In practice, nothing. Same thing with the blacksmith at Uber Bosses. As soon as Uber Bosses appeared, players immediately asked, add a blacksmith next to them. And here's the same story. From season to season, the asking voices became quieter and quieter. Players understood better and better that they didn't care about them. And now those voices have completely fallen silent. I am stating a fact. The developers don't care at all about the players. In practice, not in their speeches on developer streams, where they talk about how much they love the community and other marketing nonsense. And now, you could add a blacksmith to the Ubers, but it's no longer necessary. A loot filter will come, that's 1. Uniques for the cube will be useful, that's 2. But I'm recording that for 2 years, developers clearly did not care. Another small nuance with the rogue, such a small one because it wasn't ruined a year or 2 ago, but only 2 seasons ago. For 2 full seasons, the rogue hasn't worked, that is to say, it's practically completely ruined. That's nothing, but look how the paladin is being sold for double the price. And the Doom skin too. Why fix the game when marketing does everything? I hope this video was useful for you and didn't upset you too much before the start of the new season. The purpose of the story is so that you don't build illusions and look ahead with an understanding of what's what. If the information was useful, hit like and be sure to share the video with your friends. If you didn't like it, still write a comment about what a great guy I am. Thanks for watching. Bye.